Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 124 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. Now, before we introduce tonight's returning guest star and close personal friend of mine, I'd like to introduce tonight's co-host for this evening. He is a wrestling fan from long time ago, and he is my Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson, and that is Mr. Christopher Petey.
Hey, yo.
See, that's why, Chris, that's why I call you my Ed McMahon, because Ed McMahon used to go, hi-yo, and you go, hey-yo. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, to introduce tonight's guest host for evening, I'm very proud to have back on. I've been a fan of this guy for many, many years. He's a dear personal friend of mine. He is a former American Gladiator, a former WWE superstar, former two-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and he's one of the most ass-kicking machines I've ever seen in my life. He's a real-life Superman, my opinion, and he's a guy that I cannot wait to meet this year. In Vegas in August of this year. My guest at this time, I'm welcoming back the man, the Superman himself, Rico Costantino. Rico, how are you today, sir?
Doing good. Doing good.
And like we've had many people from OVW on the show as well. Like we've had recently Paul London. He became a good friend of both Chris and I. We've had Nick Dinsmore on the show. And I'm a big fan of Ohio Valley Wrestling. Next, I got to get Kenny Bolin on the show.
Oh, that shouldn't be too hard.
Kenny,
you'll never get a word in edgewise, but he'll get on the show.
And I'm gonna kayfabe call him out, not for real, but kayfabe. Kenny, if you're watching this, there's always a spot on the panel for you. Now, Rico, one of the questions we're gonna ask some questions that we didn't get to touch on our last interview. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was the raw emotion question, and wrestling is another form of acting, and when you're in WWE, of course, it's sports entertainment, so you gotta act as well as wrestle. So with that being said, my question is, I'm gonna put you in a scenario. Like if you were doing an acting scene in which your scene requires you and a co-star to get into this heated argument, and your co-star comes up to you before the film and he goes, and I'll theoretically say it's me. And I go, Mr. Costantino, and I say Mr. Costantino because I have so much respect for you in the whole wide world. I say, Mr. Costantino, this script requires us to get into this heated moment, like this heated altercation / confrontation. Now, I know it might sound weird, but I have an idea for us that we can really enhance the scene in which you lambast me and lay into me so hard that you can make me cry in frustration. That way, we can not only tell a great story, but also make it believable to the audience at home. If you were approached with this type of method, how would you react to it, and what would you say to that said co-star?
Well, it all depends on the co-star if they trust you. I did a movie a long time ago, and a B-rated flick, and the middle kid, Christopher Knight, was the star of the show, and I had to get in a fight with him, and he was really worried, and I had to tell him, listen, I'm good at this. And we ended up doing it together, and he was happy.
Awesome. And I said this to Chris. I said it to another co-star I have on co-host on my show that, like, if we were in wrestling and we had to take shots at each other in kayfabe to make it believable to the fans, I would be the first person to go into gorilla position and be very apologetic and say, I'm very sorry, man. I did not mean anything I said. So whatever I said out there, it's all acting. I don't want you to take personal offense to that.
Well, of course. You're out there being a character. If anybody takes it personal, they're a moron.
Oh. Chris, you had a question?
Well, before I get to the scripted question that we got set up here, I was hoping to ask your opinion on the fact that Freddie Prinze Jr. is creating his own product that's unionized itself. And unionization in wrestling, I suppose some people have had their negative opinions on it and positive opinions about it. I'd like to get your opinion about it.
Hey, if they're going to unionize, I think that's great. Wrestling needs to be unionized because they take advantage of the wrestlers, treat them like crap. Somebody likes you up top, they don't like you. It needs to be unionized. Plus, they need health insurance. They need a whole bunch of stuff, so I'd be all for it.
I agree. And I want to get your opinion on this too, Rico, because one person that was very vocal about unionization in wrestling was Jesse the Body Ventura. I was just curious to know what was your opinion on him, because I mean I always thought he was a good actor, a politician, and wrestler, but I don't know how you stand where you were on him.
I have no problem with Jesse.
Okay. Yeah, I love Jesse, especially when he one time said in an interview, and you can look this up too. He talked about like how he tried to unionize wrestling, and then while he was in court, he did like this oath, like a swore of oath, and then I think his attorney went up to Vince McMahon and he goes, "Mr. McMahon, has there ever been a union in wrestling?" "No." "Has anyone ever tried to?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I believe Jesse Ventura's tried to do that." And he's like, "Did Mr. Ventura tell you that?" He goes, "No." "Well, how did you find out about that?" "Oh, without no hesitation. He said, "Oh, Hulk Hogan told me."
Yeah, and he said that it felt like a punch in the mouth or something like that.
Yeah,
And
that's why we're all independent contractors. The only
so to speak.
people I believe are employees are the ones uh, they got to test for roids, because then that exempts them.
I see.
Hmm.
Wow. But like I said, I agree. I think unionization would be great for the wrestlers, and that's
Hell yeah. This way, Vince, if he gets a hair up his butt, can't go, I don't like you, you're fired. Can't do that. There's a progressive discipline.
yeah, you're right. And I think it would just like it'd be beneficial for the boys, but Hogan put a kibosh on that supposedly.
Albeit probably to like save the money that he was earning, because he knew that it would probably mean that he'd have to like have his earnings allocated over to the other wrestlers because they'd probably be demanding more money themselves. And
Yeah.
it was just his own greed that drove him.
I asked for $1,000 a week after a 3-year contract and held the tag titles twice. I was going to be on the cover of the magazine, and he flat out told me no. I wanted $1,000 a week. That was it. You know, I wasn't being greedy.
And with all you do in wrestling, sorry,
I got released.
And with all you do in wrestling, that wasn't really a lot to ask for. I'd say you deserved it, man.
Goldberg, I think, was making 36,000 a week, and he never did house shows.
That sounds like Sting, because I heard a story about like Sting, like in WCW. I think I heard this in a shoot interview where like there was like every time they went to a house show, Sting never worked one fucking house show.
You get away with, he can get away with. Union, you wouldn't be able to do that.
No, not at all. Chris, you also had a follow-up question, right?
Oh, well, I was going to like just get back on script here.
Sure.
Any methods and preparations or rituals that you have before like doing a match or promo or segment?
Yeah, I rock, just like I'm doing now.
As in rocking chair? Okay.
I have, well, not in a rocking chair. I can rock in anything. I have ADD and OCD.
Really?
Probably a splash of autism. I'm focused. When I was diagnosed, because back in the 70s, they didn't know what ADD was. They just give you a pill and that was it. But you can take it as a handicap, or you can take it to propel yourself forward in life. And PJ knows my life due to the Wikipedia page, which I never added anything to that page. People found everything out about me, and it's 98% accurate. And the only thing that's wrong, it says I was a Metro SWAT officer, and I wasn't. I was a North Las Vegas police officer.
Oh.
So it's pretty accurate on my background and everything.
Well, hey, you still have it pretty well put together.
They do. You know, I look at it for time. Excuse me 1 second. I got to turn the fan on. Oh,
no problem. By the way, I
see that? I got up and I walked. See that?
By the way, I love your aquarium, Rico.
Yep, that's this is an 80-gallon. I have an 80-gallon downstairs. I got a bunch of geophagus, which are earth eaters, 2 silver dollars, 3 corridors that kind of clean the bottom. I have 4 electric blue Acara, and he hides a lot. He's nocturnal, and it's a black ghost knife fish. And then over here, they're not swimming right now, but I have a 20-gallon tank that I'm starting with new fish. And these are like biker fish. They're dinosaur fish.
Oh.
They can go up and gulp some oxygen and breathe from that. And they can breathe the oxygen in the water. And these orange and black are called clown loaches. But they were about as big as a straw. Now they're about as big as my pinky. So I love raising fish because the tank that you see sits across from my bed. So when I want to relax and stuff like that, it's on a timer, and I go to sleep watching them swim, and the lights go out, and then they come on in the morning.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Very beautiful. And I'm the same way too. I have my bed like right here, and then I have my terrarium because I have 2 tortoises, Russian tortoise and a Herman tortoise. And I get to look at them like what you do with your fish, with your aquarium. I do the same thing with my terrarium tanks.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I have a special guest.
Sure.
Oh, hold on. This is
Wow.
Houdini.
Oh wow.
A snake
He's a
you're keeping in
ball-
your shirt.
Oh, we sleep together all the time. He sleeps in my shirt. He's a ball python. I got him when he was about this big. Let's see, where's both my fingers?
Let me see.
You can't see, but he was about,
Oh wow.
yeah, probably about this big. Now he's really big, and he's thick, and he's very human friendly. Like I said, he sleeps on my belly all the time, and doesn't crawl out because I got a turtleneck, tight sleeves. So he just hangs around. This is the most docile python there is, called a ball python. So I like reptiles and I like fish.
That's awesome.
Yep. He got his name Houdini because he escaped his enclosure 3 different times.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I thought octopuses were actually great escape artists from their tanks.
Yeah, they're tough to find. Octopuses hide a lot. So this is Houdini.
Hi, Houdini.
Yep. He sees you. He's looking at you.
He's so cute. So just so adorable. I love it.
Yep. He's pretty good. Like I said, now I'll stick him back down my shirt. And he'll stay warm on my stomach.
One of the questions I had before I asked the preliminary questions, I just want to ask you, Rico, because I lived in Brooklyn, New York all my life, and we had 2 places where wrestlers would go to in New York. One was Funtime USA, and the other one was WWF New York. Did you appear in any of those? 'Cause I think you did appear in New York, right?
Yeah, I was in the Chris Angel show. He pulled me up from the audience.
Wow. Was this before he did the ice trick or after?
I don't know which one, but he did one of his tricks.
Wait, you said Chris Angel or did you say David Blaine?
No, Chris Angel.
Chris Angel, okay. But
Yeah.
But did you ever go to WWF New York or no?
Uh-huh.
What do you think about that place? Because I'd never been there.
I loved it. I mean, I'd go in, fans would be in, sign autographs, take pictures.
I wish I was able to go there at the time because it's a shame it only lasted, well, Chris, that place lasted from, I think, 2000, 2003, right? Because I think they closed for the Hard Rock Cafe, I believe.
I mean, I don't know, man. I wasn't in New York ever at the time.
I think 2003 is when they shut it because that's when they changed it from WWF New York to the World, and then they just closed, unfortunately. Because that would have sucked. Because I could have been like that 12-year-old boy meeting Rico. Like if it was still in business, I would have loved to met you, Rico.
Well, you're going to meet me next year or this year.
I can't wait, and I'm gonna share a picture actually of like the 12-year-old me watching the Ruthless Aggression era when you were kicking ass in it. But the question I have for you, this one, I'm sure Chris is gonna love this one. But you told me the story many times with the Undertaker. Can you share that story again with us? Because I just find it very fun, and I find it very very cool.
The swimming one or the makeup one?
Uh, whichever one you feel, which one of you want to talk about?
Well, after I did the Adrian Street character, I'd have to go in the bathroom and put on my colorful makeup with the sparkles, and it took me a while. So I'm in there one day, and in comes Dead Man, and he's going to put the eyeliner under his eyes. So he's watching me, but he's really big, so I'm watching him lean in and put the eyeshadow on. And he's looking at his one eye, then he looks at his other eye, and he's glancing over at me as I'm putting the glue to keep the glitter on, keep the makeup on so it doesn't go in my eyes. And he does something with his left eye, and I guess he didn't like it. And he's looking, and I just looked right over at him, and I said, "Hey, you want to borrow some of mine?" And he just went, "No." And he turned around and walked out of the room.
Did he have his
Undertaker and I got along really well.
Did he have his the fedora hat too, or no, with him?
Not when he was putting his makeup on.
Okay. Did you want to talk about the other one or no?
Well, we were in Pesaro, Italy, did a match, and we were all on the beach. It's right around midnight. And I decided I wanted to go to swim, and I saw a jetty in the water. So Jackie, Gail Kim, a couple other people with me. So I have, the boy short underwears. So I took off my sweatpants, my shirt, my socks, shoes, and I go swimming. And of course, the girls, "No, Rico, don't." Well, if I make my mind up, I'm going to do something. And I swam out to the jetty, stood on the jetty, took a couple breaths, and I swam back. Well, when I get up on shore, there's Undertaker. And he's looking at me, shaking his head, going, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want to take a swim." He goes, "There's sharks in that water?" I said, "They didn't bother me." And he goes, "Get in the hotel. Just get in the hotel. I don't want to hear from you. Just go." And that's he even told that story when they came to town after I left. I was an officer, I was a sergeant, and I brought my lieutenant to Thomas and Mack, and he even told my lieutenant that story. He goes, "You are working with a crazy man." And he told the story.
Oh man, I love this story, Rico. Such a great story. Like I said, you were part of a really special time in wrestling where like every wrestler was over. Everyone had a storyline. Like everyone was on the show. Like I remember a segment. I think it was actually your second week on Raw when you left SmackDown after betraying Billy and Chuck, and then they're watching the video of like Bischoff getting like kissing or Rikishi's ass or something, and you are watching. You're like, I'm gonna go tell Bischoff about. I'm gonna tell Mr. Bischoff right now.
Oh, I did so many promos and vignettes. I can't remember all of them.
Do you remember the one, Rico, where like you opened up Monday Night Raw and there was like a spotlight on you and you were talking about like the betrayal of what you did for Billy and Chuck? It was actually the week after the Billy and Chuck wedding.
Oh yeah, that's the night I got to pin Ric Flair 1, 2, 3 clean.
Yeah, and that was a huge win over you because I mean, being a 16-time world champion, that is like huge. And it's not like
Yeah.
even yourself, Rico, you have your credentials as well. I mean, you're a former American Gladiator. Like I said, your experiences like outside, like of course what you mentioned with a police officer, and like it said, like it's two credentials versus one, and then you got the big pin over the Nature Boy.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about it, but Vince said I did such a great job at the wedding. This was my reward.
That's it. That's
Hmm.
incredible. And does Vince? I gotta ask you too. Is it true, like the rumors that they always say that Vince always says, "Hey, pal. Hey, what about this, pal?" Does he always say, "Pal"?
No, all he ever said to me, and because he had to, was hi, bye. That was it. He didn't like me because I was old. You know, I started wrestling at 38 and a half. I debuted on WWE at 40 years old. I still think I'm the oldest rookie.
Yeah.
And he didn't like me. He didn't want to call me up. But JR, Jim Cornette, Danny Davis, and Stone Cold said, bring him up for 90 days. You're going to fire him anyway. Bring him up and let's see if you can figure out a character for him.
Well, you also mentioned too, Rico, like he didn't like because of the age thing. Well, this is what I find very hypocritical about Vince, because he talks about like, like the age thing, like stuff like that. But here's a guy that put the belt on Brock Lesnar, who was, I believe, 45, 46 when he won.
No,
Huh?
no, Brock was a lot young. He was the youngest champion.
No, I mean in current times though, like in recent times, he put the belt
Oh,
on
yeah,
three.
but Brock established himself.
Oh,
I debuted as a rookie at 40 on TV.
oh shit! I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Chris, you had another question.
All right. Can you describe the process of producing a match and the responsibilities of an agent slash producer? And would you ever have considered being an agent or producer for WWE?
Well, when I started wrestling, I was 38 out of EWF in San Bernardino, California, Empire Wrestling Federation through Jesse Hernandez. And when I got called up, I had 12 matches and I've only been in the business 8 months. So I
Hmm.
knew I was just barely getting the psychology down. And if it wasn't for Danny Davis's OVW guys, I probably wouldn't have made it.
Hmm.
That's another name I would love to have on here, and both Chris and I have talked about this too. We would love to have Jim Cornette on the show. We're just part of me is afraid to approach him because I don't want him tearing me a new asshole like he does with a lot of other people.
Oh, he will.
Well, at least you're honest about it. Like that's why I said like part of me is just there's two people I was afraid to ever approaching for an interview. Three actually. One was Scott Steiner, the other one was Jim Cornette, and the other one was New Jack.
I knew nothing about New Jack, but Cornette can fly off the handle, take over, and really speak his mind. So, it might be better if you don't ask.
Fair enough. And I say this as a Jim Cornette fan because I loved his work in Ohio Valley Wrestling, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and I just think he's one of the best talkers. I mean, he's like, as far as manager wise, he reminds me a lot like a Southern Paul Heyman.
Yeah, he was a great booker too. He
Yeah,
could book a show. And when I got in, we had three territories. We had Heartland, we had Power Pro, and we had OVW. And Cornette put all three heavyweight titles on me at once.
I remember that though because when I looked at your accomplishments, I noticed there was a lot of like championships, like heavyweight titles, and I believe OVW was one of those titles, right?
Yeah, yep. I held three titles at one time.
And I think I put the belts on the picture right here too, right? Did I include all your belts?
Yeah, you put the picture. I can't really see it, but I saw it when you sent it to me. It's kind of cut off right now.
Oh, okay, that's the green screen though. I'll get a better picture soon. Uh, but then the next question I had for you too was, who were and I asked this question to Nick Dinsmore too. Who were your traveling partners when you were on Raw, SmackDown, or both?
Well, when I first got called up, It was Brock, Ron Waterman, Randy Orton, and me. And back then, when Randy was young, he was rude, very rude. And I just told this story on Rip Rogers's podcast. I did one early this morning, and Randy would just be rude to waitresses. And I used to tell him, "Hey, dude, be rude after you get your food, because I don't want I don't want them spitting in my food first." So we were down Tennessee, South Carolina, one of these southern towns. Went to a Waffle House, and Randy started in on the waitress, and there was a guy at the bar, and he heard what was going on. He got up and he walked out, and the cook came over because the waitress went away crying. And in his southern accent, kind of just said, "Y'all better leave." And we went, "Why?" He goes, "Because that was the waitress's brother, and he's probably on his way home to get his shotgun." So I never traveled with anybody after that. Plus, I didn't do the party scene. I didn't go out drinking, late nights. I was 40 years old. I had to take care of myself. So I traveled by myself.
When you went to SmackDown, though, was Charlie Haas and Jackie your traveling partners or no?
Well, the funny thing with that is I brought Jackie back because they were going to cut her. And then Jackie and I were going, and then Pat Patterson decided to put Charlie in there, and we won the tag belts. And I didn't know they were dating until Doug Basham told me. That's how business I was. I didn't get into the gossip, rumors. I didn't sit in a cackling hen circle, discussing things, because, I was there to do a job. I had a wife and kids to support. I was there just to do my job, do it good, and leave. That was it.
Oh, okay. And by the way, one of the best tag teams I've seen in SmackDown in that time during the Ruthless Aggression era was you and Charlie Haas, because it was a fun time. You got the serious guy, and you played the comedic character. He played the serious one, so it was kind of like watching like the not Odd Couples. It was like watching the Honeymooners with Ralph and Norton.
Yeah, that's why we always got to be semi-main event, because everybody wanted to be the tough guy, tough guy, tough guy, tough guy. You can't have a whole pay-per-view with tough guys. You need comic relief,
Yeah.
and that's where I came in. So when the main event came up, Undertaker, Mankind, JBL, Eddie Guerrero, stuff like that, they were ready to get into that match because we changed the atmosphere to where people were laughing and stuff like that with all the little gimmicks I did.
Oh, it was such a great time to be a wrestling fan. I'm so happy I got to live those days. And another person that and we talked about Vince McMahon earlier, though. I'll tell you a funny story I heard Rene Dupree say in one shoot interview, and Chris and I are gonna work to get Rene Dupree on the show one day, because we're getting all these OVW guys. We like the Ruthless Aggression era. We want to try to get as much as we can, and he's the other one. Like, and you mentioned Doug Basham too. I had him on the show 2 years ago. Wonderful guy. We actually did our interview from the Ohio Valley Wrestling Training Center.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah. He showed me his students. It was incredible. Like, I learned so much from Doug in that interview, especially that Vince. I think one time he said that during the Tough Enough, because you remember, Rico, they did Tough Enough, and
Yeah.
the SmackDown one, the one that was exclusive to SmackDown, they did like this thing called Capture the Flag, where like the contestants have to capture the flag, and I think Vince told the Basham brothers, "You got to make sure none of these guys catch the flags, because if they do, you're fired." Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's when I left. I went to Japan for 3 weeks, won the heavyweight title, tag titles. And after 3 weeks, I said, I'm 44. Do I want to keep spending 3 weeks in Japan, missing my family? And then I decided to go back into police work. So returned the belts, undefeated, and went back into police work.
Nothing wrong.
And then a year after I left, Tommy Dreamer came up and said, "Hey, Vince wants you back." I said, "Thanks, Tommy, but tell him no. I'm working as a state investigator and a part-time United States Marshal, and I got it good." And then the next year they came back and they brought Paul Heyman. So I said, "I guess you didn't get the hint." I said, "Not only no, but F no, not coming back."
I'm so glad you said that, Rico. You stood up for your grounds, and I totally respect and appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I don't like somebody to have me under their thumb.
No,
I don't like it.
who would like that? And
Yeah.
another ridiculous Vince McMahon thing, and I mentioned Rene Dupree. I read in the RF Shoe interview, he one time said, like, he went to Vince one time to his office. I think this was something like, I don't know what the exact conversation was, but it ended with Vince McMahon saying, "Renee, there's not a drug I never tried. Sometimes you gotta raise some hell." And I'm like, what? Who says that? What boss says that?
Him, because he thinks he's untouchable.
I do not like the guy. I have nothing to worry about. I'll never have that guy on my show. I don't like Vince, so I don't care.
Hey, it's his company.
It
He
is.
does what he wants. And if you don't like it, you leave.
True.
So I did. I left.
I'm shocked you didn't go to because at the time they were starting out. I'm shocked you didn't go to TNA.
Well, Japan called me first.
Okay.
And then, like I said, here I am 44. How long am I going to do this? Because my moves were pretty physical.
And it's rather interesting that the wrestling bug that tends to influence a lot of wrestlers. Ric Flair points this out himself. And this didn't influence you at all.
Well, I was a wrestling fan back when I was a kid. I used to watch Vern Gagne's league, AWA, Rocky Johnson, Pat Patterson, the Sheik, all that stuff. And they used to come to the Showboat in Las Vegas and wrestle. And then I did all my other stuff, Gladiators. I was Batman at Six Flags. I was in the Conan show, Universal Studios. The first year after I won American Gladiators, I took the year off and I worked with 10 different children's charities for free. And because in California, you're like a local celebrity. So I did that. And I was bodyguarding again. And my brother owned a bail bonds company here. He asked me to come back to run the place, general manager. So I got my license through the Division of Insurance here, ran his bail bonds, and he was going to EWF. And he asked me to come along. And I said, "I'm 38 years old. What am I going to do? I'm not going to make WWE." And 8 months, 12 matches, I got a developmental contract.
That's
And I
awesome.
guess it could also be argued with you that you came into the business pretty late, so you didn't really develop that passion that early on.
Oh, I did. I loved wrestling. Ultimate Warrior. I was a mark for the Warrior.
Oh,
Cool. And I will say this to Rico before you ask your question, Chris. I want to say, Rico, you could play the heinous villain ever on screen, but off screen, you're like a real life babyface.
Oh, I loved being a babyface, and I liked it that I could do both.
Yeah, you're multi-versatile like that. Like you could play the heel excellent and you could play the babyface excellent. It's like you're a rare breed where you could find wrestlers like, for instance, Sting makes a horrible heel, but he's an excellent babyface. Just like I always felt Randy Orton was a great heel because it's kind of similar to how he is, like based on what you tell me, that he is a babyface. Sometimes I think when heels try to be baby faces that are like heels in real life, it comes off very forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Chris,
you got a good range.
right?
Yeah, just whatever they told me to do, I did.
And you nailed it
even though with those two stupid characters. I mean, my gosh. I mean, that's, if you read my Wikipedia page, that's the exact opposite of who I am in real life.
God bless you for that. And that's why I'm very proud and honored to be friends with you, Rico.
Thank you.
Chris, your next question.
Do you prefer competing in singles or tag team matches?
Both.
Okay. What'd you say is like the, I guess, great thing about both of them?
I love both of them. Singles, I can do my stuff. Tag, you split it up. Babyface tag's good. I didn't really conform to the actual heel like Basham's were. I still did my moves. I did my innovative move, which heels don't do. They're all kick, stomp, punch, heel, choke. No, I did moves. Hip toss and a neck breaker. I showed that I had talent. So I wasn't your actual real heel. But when it came down, if I had to choke you, chop you, poke in the eyes, stuff like that, I'd do it. But then I'd come off with my martial art moves and my specialty moves.
So I guess similar
I did,
to. Oh, good.
well, I did, like I said, I wasn't your typical heel. I had moves, technical moves.
Yeah, and I guess similar to Diamond Dallas Page, you yourself were a very great wrestler, right? But you just
Thank you.
came late in the game.
Yeah, according to Vince. But I was running circles around people younger than me, younger.
Yeah.
I could do a match, rarely got hurt, always took care of myself, wasn't doing roids because when I came in, there was Brock, Batista, Triple H, John Cena. Wasn't going to get on roids for. So I focused on entertainment.
You were Gen X, putting those old millennials in their place.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Rico, too. Like, you took part in the Royal Rumble 2004, and I just want to get your memories of doing the 2004 Royal Rumble. This is the one Chris Benoit won, and this was also. And I want to get your opinion too on like how Royal Rumbles are set up, though. Like, because like in matches, like you have two individuals that can call like the spots and stuff like that. With a Royal Rumble, you have different guys, like how to call the spots. Like, how are spots called in a Royal Rumble match, and how are those produced?
They put you all in the back. They tell you what you're going to do, and they tell you who and what's going to get thrown out. And they say, okay, when you see this one go out, you're next. Do your stuff, get tossed out. And they focus on the main people who are going to win it, like 5 or 6, and they work down from that. The rest of us were just fluff.
So when you're doing like when they have you like when they do the countdown 10, 9, 8, etc. So are all 30 of you guys in gorilla position waiting for your number to be called?
Yep.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
All lined up.
Literally lined up in single lines.
Single file going to the gorilla box. Downstairs, all the way up to the box. Vince is there. Go. And you run out.
That's incredible. And speaking of sets, though, I gotta ask you this too because AEW had a very unique set when they first started, where they had 2 tunnels, one for the baby faces, one for the heels. Do you think like something like that would be a great idea for WWE to implement too, or they should have implemented where you have one entrance for the baby faces, one entrance for the heels?
Well, back in the day when nobody was smartened up, yeah. But nowadays, everybody knows we travel together. We're on planes. They know we're friends. So it wouldn't make a difference.
I understand. And let me see what the next question. Oh, Chris, you have the next question.
How did you find out you were traded from Raw to SmackDown in 2004?
They told me.
But
Like over the phone or during like some kind of.
No, if it's 2004, I was doing 3-minute warning. I don't know. I'm fuzzy on this, but I think right around there. I think they wanted me to do the Adrian Street character because Eki got in trouble in Florida, got suspended, so you couldn't do 2-minute warning. You had to do 3-minute warning. So Rosie went and did shit, superhero in training, and I did the Adrian Street knockoff.
And
Hmm.
you
So
mentioned
they had to take me off Raw because the makeup character was a heel on Raw. So Kane came in and crushed me, and then I came on SmackDown as a face.
I remember that.
Hmm.
Because then they immediately put you with Charlie Haas, and you guys won the tag team titles.
That's due to Pat Patterson.
Okay, that was his influence, right?
Yep.
Okay, and I'll never
Because
forget.
Charlie and I worked together. And the whole triangle was Jackie liked me, I liked Charlie, Charlie liked Jackie.
Triangle.
Yep. And me pinching him in the butt, cheeks, would get him mad enough to wrestle hard.
I still never forget, like, too, like, who, like, the trades for that night, though. I remember it was, they traded A-Train and Chuck Palumbo for you and Jackie. I remember that was one of the trades, and then the other trade, which they got to make Triple H look strong, they traded Triple H for Booker T and the Dudley Boys. So they want to make him look so big and so popular, they said, oh, we'll give you 3 people in exchange for Triple H.
Well, guess who he is now?
Guy pretty much running the show, basically.
Yep.
And but did you know? But Rico, you heard about that, right? The Endeavor deal that they made, the WWE did, where like Vince sold the company to Endeavor, so now they own the company. I think 51% of it.
Nope. I don't follow the product anymore.
Okay, I just want to like let you know, like Vince sold it to Endeavors, who also owns UFC. So UFC and WWE are now under the same conglomerate.
All right.
If it works, it works, you know. And I think they said that Triple H not only is running 99% of creative now, but they said that he's mainly in charge of the WWE product, while Dana White is actually running things, I believe, on the UFC side.
Right. Well, that's Dana's company. He's not going to let go of that.
No, not at all. And they said that Vince has very little, if none, to like do with the product or anything with WWE. They said that he actually sold, I think, $30 million. I could be wrong on the number, but he sold around there of his shares back to Endeavors, meaning that he has even less ownership than he did when he sold it.
Well, that's because he got in so much trouble.
Yeah, with the we know.
Yeah.
It just solidifies me not liking the guy as a human being.
He's a penis measurer. Ah, mine's bigger than yours. I'm better than you. He's always like that.
Yeah, I never got him or his I don't know how you feel about him, but everyone does not like this guy, and that's Johnny Ace.
Oh,
Nobody
Two-Face.
likes. Yeah,
Two-Face.
and I gotta ask you, Rico, did John Laurinaitis do that ridiculous call like, "Hey, best of luck in your future endeavors"? Did you have to get that unfortunate crappy call?
Nope.
Okay.
Nah.
Thank goodness.
Johnny Ace and I didn't really get along.
Nobody.
I got along with Malenko, Fit Finley,
Arn
Terry Taylor.
Arn Anderson.
Yeah, Arn. Michael P. Hayes, kind of, because is it Michael P?
Michael PSAs.
Yeah, he was still doing the Freebird gimmick at all the shows. He dressed like him and just continue his persona.
I'll tell you a funny story. RVD said in a shoot interview one time. He said, he didn't put Michael Hayes in the dick bag because they played a game called "Who's a Dick," and then if they were a dick, they put the name in the bag. He didn't put Michael surprisingly in the bag, and he said one time he said, "Hey, you know, I like that tie dye you're wearing." It's like, wait, what do you mean tie dye? The Dudleys? Because I don't wear tie dye. You mean the spray on? It's like, yeah, I like that. Rob, I'm one of you. I'm pro 420. I'm you, man. This is the same guy, Rico, who on the plane ride from hell got drunk off his ass, based on what we saw in Dark Side of the Rings, got drunk off his ass, went up to Bradshaw and did this. Fucking redneck. And he punched him in the face, and then I think Bradshaw smacked him and knocked him out.
Yeah, I wasn't on the plane ride from hell. I wasn't on that.
So many.
But Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig almost killed everybody.
Yep. When they banged into the emergency door.
Yep.
And well, I gotta ask you, Rico, like about the plane, is it physically possible to open that door?
You got to turn it. You
Okay.
can't just bang into it. But you got two behemoths. It could bust open, but it's latched and then latched and latched. I mean, it's triple latched,
Yeah,
but it's man-made, and things could break.
it's true.
And Brock was no weakling.
No, not at all. I mean, he's 6'4". I think Kurt Hennig was, I believe, 6'4" at the time too, but I could be wrong on that one.
Yeah, but Brock was corn-fed.
Yeah,
You know.
it's like Mike Chioda said. You remember the referee, right? Mike Chioda.
Oh yeah,
You know what he said? He said Brock was a young, solid boy. He was like a big bear.
yeah, yeah. And all the matches I had with him, he never hurt me once.
And I'm surprised when you said that because the way he wrestles though, it's so intense. It looks so like it hurts, like the stuff he does, like the F5 mainly.
I never took an F5,
Okay, because I think the F5.
but he never hurt me. We wrestled a lot, especially dark matches. I think I'm one of 21 people who beat him.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. Um. Now you also, I believe, who had the next question? Was it me that had it? No, it was me. Yeah, and I want to ask a non-WWE related question, and this is about American Gladiators, which you are, you participated in this show as well and won titles in this, I believe. And I just want to get your memories of your time and experience on American Gladiators.
It's great. I tried out for Contender. I got that. They made me try out as a gladiator because they were going to fire two of them, and they picked me as a Contender. And after seeing Muscles and Mayhem, I'm glad they never picked me as a gladiator because they treated those guys like crap. No royalties, no nothing. You had to play injured. I felt so bad for all those guys. And I was friends with them, all of them.
Incredible. And Chris, I believe you're a fan of American Gladiators. You want to touch upon what you loved about it?
Um, I mean, I definitely loved how like entertaining it was, and I guess as a kid, I sort of just had a little bit of enchantment with like the use of red, white, and blue to sort of just homogenize. I don't know if that's an accurate word to use here. The concept of us actually having American gladiators, and something that also been kind of on my mind is that in the show Venture Brothers, I don't know if you've ever watched it, but they said that one of the characters, a female character, was actually on American Gladiators herself, and I'm kind of wondering if she was actually based on a real person, or if you
I
even
don't
know.
know. I don't know. Like I said, I was the second season, and it takes 10 hours to do one show. So, because they film the fall and the spring simultaneously. You work about the third week in June to the second week in July, and the season's already done.
Hmm. Did you ever get to work with I think this was American Gladiators too. Was there a contestant called Nitro?
No, he was a gladiator. That's
Oh,
Danny Clark.
pardon me.
Oh yeah, Danny and I always hit heads.
Okay, I was just curious to know like if you had any interactions with him.
Oh yeah, all of us were friends. Nitro, Laser, Thunder, Gemini, Turbo. We were all friends. But once the whistle blew, it was go time. But after the whistle, we were friends.
Cool. And Chris, you had another question too. Not about American Gladiators, but you had another question, I believe.
I mean, although on American Gladiators, was there any female named Power Cat?
Female name what?
Power Cat.
Power
Spelled with a K.
No, my year, Zap was the first season. She was out my year because she was pregnant. So I had Lace, diamond, gold, ice, and Blaze. The black girl, Blaze.
Any idea if she ended up doing anything like in sports entertainment herself?
Who?
Blaze.
She was she would qualify for the Olympics in track and field. The only one that I know of that did anything after Gladiators was Zap. She was in that movie with John Ritter.
Oh.
That's the only one that I know of.
Well, anyway, getting back to our lineup questions here. What's your favorite tag team title design that you wore? Would it be the original World Tag Team title or the SmackDown's WWE Tag Team titles?
Both.
Both.
Okay.
And the one I held was Cena, the Southern Tag Team belts in OVW.
Oh. So yeah, I guess there hasn't been like a tag team belt you haven't liked, huh?
No, if they gave me the belt, that meant I was doing what they wanted. I was either getting babyface over or I was getting heat over. You know, those are given to you. You know, all the belts that Petey has, you know, those are given to you. American Gladiators, you had to win.
Yeah.
You know, that was a true competition.
I wanted to ask this too, Rico, before I ask the next question. Notice this picture right here with you and Charlie Hasso, though. I remember like when SmackDown was like they used to do like these cards where like it shows who's fighting who next. I was curious to know how they did like these like shots where like you guys are moving and then it freezes and then it shows the title card. Like did they put you in a special studio like where you guys had to do like poses and stuff like that to do something like this?
Well, yeah, sometimes you did them together, sometimes you did them apart, and they put them together.
That's incredible. I wish they would go back to something like that where like you have the people moving and then it just stops and then freeze frames.
Yeah. In fact, the picture you got there is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's why I put it on here. I knew it was one of your favorites.
Yeah.
You made SmackDown worth watching, and another time you made SmackDown worth watching was, of course, in 2002 when you debuted on the main roster in 2002. And I want to get your opinion on, want to get more insight and like from your experiences, recanted experiences on the Billy and Chuck wedding, and like any funny behind the scenes stories you could share while filming with Stephanie McMahon, Chuck Palumbo, Billy Gunn, and Eric Bischoff.
Well, no, that wedding, that was kayfabe. They kayfabe the boys. Vince that day brought Eric to the arena already dressed up as the old man. They kayfabed everybody. Vince brought him in his limousine, showed him around, brought him to catering, brought him a plate of food, and Eric ran around like this all day, meeting everybody. Nobody knew anything except the guys who were actually doing it. And when we did the whole thing, and then when Eric went, wait a minute, did I hear myself say 3 minutes? Everybody in the arena inhaled all at once. It popped my ears. They all went, you know, and Eric started tearing off the prosthetics. And if that would have been on Raw, that'd have been the best kayfabe ever. But SmackDown was taped on Tuesday, shown on Thursday, and the dirt sheets got a hold of it.
And Rico, let me just say this. I've talked to this numerous times with you. I loved the whole Billy and Chuck one. I was really upset when they put it on the network and they took out the women singing It's Raining Men. They actually, if you rewatch that, they removed that whole thing. And I was like, why? That was a really good part. Why did they do that? And then and I also want to ask you too, like when Billy, I think it was Billy that said this. He's like, wait a minute, this was just a publicity stunt. You know, was that kayfabe when he said that, or was that him shooting?
No, that was supposed to happen.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if he was like, you know, breaking kayfabe during this.
No. Everything went as Vince planned. Actually, Stephanie was the agent on all of it.
How was she? Like, was Stephanie great in regards to that segment? Like working with?
Oh yeah, Stephanie and I always got along. Stephanie and Linda and I always got along. Shane and Vince and I never got along. I remember I was doing dark matches and Shane was in the ring trying to wrestle, and I was doing a couple things. He walked right up to my face and he goes, "You know, Rico, you're going to be nothing but a flatbacker, which means you're going to be a jobber."
That's horrible to say that.
Yeah, but I proved him wrong.
Yeah, you did, and you made a character work. You made two characters work like that.
Too. And you know, I've had people ask me, would you have wanted to gone longer? You know, because I did when I signed my contract. I left. You know, I signed it in '99, 6, 7 years. I said no. That was for a time and a season, and God said, okay, you're going to be here this long, and you're going to move on to something else. You know, and here we are, 19 years later, still talking about both those characters.
Yeah, and I want to say this too. Like I mentioned before, like earlier, Rico, that there was a picture I wanted to show you where it was 12-year-old PJ, as a longtime wrestling fan, and watching. I believe this was actually around the time where the Ruthless Aggression era was going on in 2002. So I just wanted to show you a picture how much of a diehard fan I was, and especially watching wrestling where you were kicking ass every Friday night. Well, not Friday, every Thursday night on SmackDown, because SmackDown was on Thursdays, taped on Tuesdays,
Yep.
taped on Tuesdays, but aired on Thursdays. But this was the picture I wanted to
So
show.
we taped Tuesday, and we taped Velocity, and we taped SmackDown.
Yeah, all one day, right?
Yeah. Monday got Sunday Night Heat and Raw. Raw was live though.
Yeah. And this was the picture I wanted to show you. This was 12-year-old me watching, like, back in your time wrestling. Oops, sorry.
Oh my gosh, look at the belts.
I even have the Undertaker Kane shirt, too.
Oh my gosh.
I was a long-time wrestling fan back in the day. And, like, that was the time when I was just watching you kick so much ass on SmackDown, and then later went on to Raw, where I believe you and I believe other people jumped to Raw, too. I think Christian jumped to Raw, Ivory jumped to Raw, Maven jumped to Raw, and I think Devon Dudley jumped to Raw because they had the match where you and 3 Minute Warning took on Bubba and Spike at Survivor Series, I believe. And that's with the tape spot, right?
The 2002?
2002 Survivor Series.
It was Bubba, Spike, and Jeff Hardy
Yes.
against me in 3 Minute Warning, and that's my famous, God damn it, Jeff.
He missed his cue, right?
Yeah, because he was always under the influence.
Yeah, unfortunately. Because in one match, if you watch it, I think, Chris, you know this match too. Victory Road's 2011 in TNA. He literally was trying to perform while, like you said, under the influence. Bischoff had to come out and change everything and try to make it look like it's kayfabe when it really wasn't. And Sting was pissed off when he had that match with him.
Yeah, Jeff fell funny. Like if you hit him with the right cross, he should fall to the right. He would fall left.
So
And he was like Gumby. You know, he was hard to wrestle.
what was RVD hard to wrestle or no?
Yeah, well, yes and no. If RVD was straight, he was hard to wrestle and he hurt. But when he was high, he was the greatest.
I've heard that before. That's why I was asking if this was true or not, because I've heard the same
It's
exact.
true. It's true.
So like when he's not like high, he's like a shoot fighter, right? Like it hurts.
Well, he doesn't know how to pull it.
Yeah, he knocked out, I think in a TNA match, they did a spot and he knocked out Abyss's front teeth in one spot.
Who?
Uh,
Whose teeth?
His name
Abyss
was Abyss. He was a wrestler in TNA,
Oh.
and it went wrong. And I guess, like you said, he doesn't pull back, and that led to him getting his teeth knocked out right here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
hey,
I mean,
at least it was a look that worked for him, anyways.
yeah, especially with the karate, especially if you've taken it. I've taken 3 different disciplines, and here you are, a kickboxer, Muay Thai, and here you're going to go put it in a wrestling ring. And to tell you the truth, it's harder to pull that stuff back than it is actually to go through with it. It's more tiring.
So it's actually it's more tiring for the wrestler doing the move than it is the person taking it, right?
Well, no. Like say if I would throw a roundhouse kick.
Oh,
When I threw it to knock your head off.
oh, you were
What,
actually
but when you got into wrestling, you had to throw it and make it look like it was damaging, but you just had to just tap the guy. You had to make it a work. That was the hardest part for me when I started doing my kicks, is pulling them back. But I practiced them and practiced them and practiced them, and then I would use them. I didn't just go, okay, I'm going to do this and knock somebody's teeth out, give them a black eye. I always took care of who I wrestled.
absolutely. Would you say it's similar to like Shawn Michaels when he does the Sweet Chin Music?
Sean knew how to throw that. Yeah, he knows how to throw the sweet chin.
Okay. We have a couple more questions before we wrap up, but before we do though, did you want me to share like the things you like we talked about earlier or not?
Well, for the fans to know, because everybody knows, not only did I have a hip replacement, I had a full reconstruction of the right hip. It got that bad because workman's comp took so long. And if you want to show the first, or how bad that because I never missed a day at work. I continued to work with a fractured hip.
I could share the screen now if you like. Uh, I'll actually let me see if I can do it right now. I'll share. This is the first time I've ever shared on screen, so this is gonna be a treat. The first picture you said, hope it's. Tell me if this is right. If not, I'll change it.
It's the one with no prosthetics in it.
Okay, so is it this one? This one?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Now you're looking at it. Now my right hip, if you're looking at it, it's on the left side. So when you're looking on the left side, you see all the callus and bone spurs up in the socket. The bone had no cartilage. Now look to the other side. You see the ball and it's got separation. See how the ball is nice? Well, look at the left side. It's all degenerated.
Separated.
Yeah, it's all bone on bone. It's like rubbing two red bricks together. That's what it felt like when I walked. And when I was working, I couldn't carry a cane because I had to have a camera, clipboard, do accident investigations, a loss recovery if somebody stole a vehicle, that kind of stuff.
Did you?
So,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's how bad my hip was. Workman's comp made me wait 16 months before they gave me any treatment.
Did you want?
And then, do you have the scar one, the surgery scar?
Yes. Let me stop sharing this one. I'm gonna pull it up right now.
So now, a regular hip replacement takes 45 minutes. My surgery to reconstruct everything took 3 hours.
Rico, I can pull it up on my phone if you like. I can actually show it through my phone here if you like.
Okay, show them to your phone. That's my butt.
Okay, this, right?
Move over. Other way. Yep. That's what my butt looked like. See how straight that scar was? That surgeon did an excellent job, and there's no staples. There's stitches on the inside, and he put a piece of glue and he glued it together so the scar would heal a lot better.
You wanted me to show the other ones, Rico?
Now, this is post-surgery.
Okay.
This is what they had to do.
Let me pull that up right now. Here's the first picture. This is post-surgery, I believe. I'm going to pull it up right now. Let me make it bigger. All right. Should be loading right now.
Okay, there you go. Now you see on the left side. Now you see the ball on the other side, and you see the ball on this side, and then you see something that the ball connects into. That is a plastic piece that they had to put in because the socket was so chewed up and damaged. They had to insert that prosthetic in there, and then they cut my bone like where the ball is on the right side, they cut it right there, took all that out, and then they put a porcelain ball that connected into the plastic, and then the rod going down my leg, they had to hammer in a titanium rod.
I think we have one more picture, Rico.
Yep.
I'll share it with you right now. I don't think I shared this one. Yeah, there's one more picture. Sideways, but I think the people at home could see it good. I mean, just tell me if you think it's
Yeah,
good.
that's with my leg off to my left. So you see how far the titanium went down and how far the plastic piece went up, and you still see the socket that had to be reconstructed.
Incredible. Like,
Yep.
you said that this surgery took more than an hour, right?
3.
It was tripled.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 45 minutes.
And like you said, lasted. But how long until you were discharged from the hospital?
Well, I did the surgery. I did recovery. They put me in a room. Then a physical therapist came in and said, okay, let's walk. So 10 minutes, I wasn't even done with the anesthesia. And I was walking in 10 minutes with a walker.
Was the rehabilitation, the rehab, was it a difficult process, or would you say it was?
Well, right now I have 3 days a week at home because the doctor will not let me drive. I drive a stick shift. So my gas pedal foot has to work the brake foot, and there wasn't enough strength yet. So not this Friday, but next Friday, he should clear me to drive.
That's good.
Yeah.
Brothers.
When we meet, would you be able to drive when we meet in Vegas this year?
Oh, hell yeah. I should be working out, and I'm already walking up and down the stairs with a cane. I walk around the house with a walker. Yeah, I'm already climbing stairs.
God bless you, sir. This is why I say you're a real life Superman, because the stuff you do for charity, like I said, like the stuff you do for charity, overcoming so many adversities, and like when I think of Rico Costantino, you know what word I would describe you as? Inspirational.
And that's why I wanted to show it, is that people can learn from this and see that it can be done. Same thing with the ADD. Don't use it as a negative. Turn it into a positive. Focus on what you want. Because my mantra is always, what your mind can conceive, your heart can achieve.
Amen.
That's been my mantra my whole life.
And it's an incredible one to live by too. It's strong, it's motivational, and
Yeah.
right down to the point.
And I'm nobody special. My gosh. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's just mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
Beautiful, like beautiful philosophy, and many people can live by that too. Like knowing that,
Yeah.
don't turn it into a negative, turn it into a positive.
Yeah, like when I tore my quad at OVW in 2000, the doctor who put me back together said I'll never wrestle again. I said, what'd you say? You'll never get in the ring again. I said, say it again.
Say one more time.
He goes, you'll never get in the ring again. I said, say it again. He said, I just told you. I said, I know, say it again. So he did. 6 months later, I was back in OVW as a heel.
But don't you think they should have turned that into like where you had this thing where like the doctor said you could never compete again? Wouldn't that be more of a story of like a baby face, like overcoming the odds?
Yeah, but Kenny Bolin wanted to turn me heel. So instead of doing the positive stuff, I came in when Flash was doing a title match, and I clocked him with a chair. Clocked him.
Knocked them out.
Oh yeah, I hit him good. But it was a good gimmick work. I mean, it looked like I knocked his head off. He didn't even have a red mark on his head. no bump, no nothing. And then the fans went, whoa, because Flash and because I got hurt doing a match with Flash. So when I came back, I wanted vengeance. And in the story was, nobody came to visit me. Nobody sent me cards. Nobody sent me letters except Kenny Bolin. Kenny Bolin was there for me. And it showed me working out and bowling there. So it really, really transferred me to a heel.
That's awesome. And Chris, before you ask your question, I just had another question I'd like to ask too. I asked Nick Dinsmore this question when I had him on my show. I want to ask you this question as well, though. I put you in a raw emotion scenario. I want to put you like in a making a wrestling match scenario. Say that if I was a wrestler or if Chris was a wrestler and we were doing a program together, you and I, Rico, where you are the heel, I'm the baby face, or vice versa. And we're going over ideas on how to make our match special. And I go up to you and I say, Rico, Mr. Costantino, I had an idea like I really want. I was curious to know if you would be willing to do though. My idea was I will make you look like the baddest heel. You could do all the spots, those chair shots to make yourself get over as a heel, and you win the match. The only thing I ask for is like if I could potentially have some offense in the match, so that way it doesn't come off looking like a squash jobber match. If you were
well, no, that's what you have to do.
Okay.
In wrestling, you work the matches from the end to the beginning because the finish is the most important part. And whoever's going to win gives a little more shine or a little more heat. Like if the baby face was going over, the heel would get more heat, and if the heel was going over, the baby face would get more shine. But the most important part is the comeback. So you work backwards.
Oh, okay.
And everybody, at that level, you never practice it unless somebody's going to do a move that you've never taken, and then you have the guy give you the move so you know how to take it. But yeah, everybody gets their time to shine, whether you shine as a heel or you shine as a face.
And in my job, if we were doing a program together, and my job was to make you look like as $1,000,000 as a heel, I would say, Rico, I had a wonderful idea.
No, as a heel, I got to make you look like $1,000,000. Oh. That's what makes me cheat.
Okay.
Because you're doing too good. You're beating me fair and square. So I got to poke you in the eyes, low blow, drop you on the top rope.
Put me through a table, right?
Well, tables are not always there.
True.
I got to do it in the ring. Pull you into a turnbuckle, toe hold you in a turnbuckle. Start raking your face. Do stuff. Jump on your, like you jump up and you push the boots across the forehead, which burns and everything. And then you just start kicking the crap out of the guy. For the first 30 seconds, you beat the crap out of the face. You just nonstop, bang, bang, where the people are going, give him a chance. And then they start hating you. I remember I wrestled Rey Mysterio at Mohegan Sun, about 19,000 people, all in unison, screaming, Rico sucks. Rico sucks. In unison.
That's incredible heat. That's not heel heat, right? Is that heel?
No, I was the heel.
Okay.
Ray did I think that's probably like that's like the apex point in which you have achieved the most heat that you're probably going to get, because you get the Rico sucks chant. It's also similar to the X-Pac sucks chant, and maybe you didn't get X-Pac heat, but it was still heat nonetheless.
To keep the heat going, I just did a good move on him, and I had him down. Rico sucks. Rico sucks. I turned, I don't suck. And I picked Ray up, and then I punched him in the face. Who sucks now? Oh, and they got louder. Then I picked him up again, and I pounded him in the face. And I said, yeah. And then Ray, as I was walking up, hit me in the stomach. Oh, and I reacted. And then I hit him again, and then he hit me with a forearm shiver. And then I did the spin kick to the gut. jumped over and gave him the mule kick. And people are like, oh, man. And then I went up for a moonsault and I missed. And then everybody was like, oh, here it comes. And then Ray did his shit. And then his comeback was his shine.
Incredible. It's like if you were doing a spot where like you and 3 Minute Warning were doing an ambush on somebody. 3 Minute Warning's holding the guys like by their arms, and you're like this, like tell them raise them up, and then you do like either like a super punch or you do a side kick to him.
Side kick, punch him, kick him, rake his face, just do stuff that people would be like, how could you do that? You know, rip his eyes, Maven, I did this in a match. I got him down after poking him in the eyes, and I put my knee in his back, and I was pulling up on his face, but he wasn't giving up. So what I did is I took my hand and stuck it in his nose and everything, and I started pulling up like that. You know, so, you just do shit. And then Maven got knocked to the ropes, so I put him through the second rope, and I brought him back and bent him backwards over the top rope, so he was like this. And then I gave him a hard chop to the chest. Oh, and the crowd would just go. And it didn't hurt him, but it just looked vicious. You're doing things outside the box.
True. And I told this to Chris one time. I said, Chris, if we were wrestlers and we were in a program together, and if we were in London, I say this as a big Beatles fan, and Chris knows where I'm going with this. If I was a heel and you want to entertain and get the crowd to hate you, I'm like, Chris, I'm going to get that crowd in London and Blackpool to throw bottles at me, or they're going to hate me so much they're going to throw bottles at me when I say the following. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad the Beatles broke up. Keep up the great work, Yoko.
Yeah, that would get heat.
And I say that as a Beatles fan.
I actually remember these videos I've watched on TikTok on the WWE Pro Wrestling Stories. I guess it's actually a show you can catch on Peacock too. But I remember this story that Farouk had on Mick Foley, where he talks about like some crazy ideas for spots that he had. And one of them was actually like gluing broken glass on his fist and going at it on Farouk. And Farouk said, no, never, not in a million years, not doing it. And I actually often had this vision that if I was going to put up any spots for a hardcore match, if I had any control over it, I'd probably use some of Mick Foley's unscrapped ideas and make them unscrapped ideas. And you can probably turn.
Mick was the original hardcore, He couldn't wrestle, but he did all this crazy stuff, especially him and Terry Funk. Dynamite matches, barbed wire matches. Him and Undertaker when he got chokeslammed through the cage. On tacks. That was just Foley.
Oh, yeah. Definitely earned the nickname Hardcore Legend.
I'm sure before his injuries, before he got, I guess, more influential in WWE, before he was older, right? He actually was more of a solo wrestler, especially during his time in ECW. I haven't really got to see much of his ring work back then, but I don't doubt that his culmination of injuries ultimately impacted his wrestling style.
Yeah. ECW was rough. Look at Sabu.
Oh, yeah. Sabu. We also had him on the show, and he actually had quite a few things to say about that, too.
Oh, yeah. But, I'm sorry, you going to say something, Rico?
No, I was going to ask if we can go because the pain medicine is taking effect, and I'm getting sleepy.
No worries. We'll conclude with the following thing. We're just gonna say the final question I have for you, Rico, is what's next for Rico Costantino? Rico, you've been on the show before. This is the part, open forum. You can talk, say anything you like. I am passing the proverbial microphone onto you. The floor is yours, Mr. Costantino.
Well, first things first. Hip. Once I get cleared to drive, I go to physical therapy at a place. I'll let them work on my leg, and then I'll start working on the rest of my body to get back into shape. get back to work ASAP, because I don't like not working. I don't like sitting at home. It depresses me, and then you tell me I can't drive. So now I can't take my Mustang GT and drive it around, and it's just, so I'm fighting that, and, trying to I do my exercises even when the therapist isn't here. I'm always lifting my legs, exercising, putting the heating pad on, walking with the walker, taking walks around the block, using the cane. Plus I got to take care of my kids. I got this size tank downstairs also. So, and then Houdini, like I said, he sleeps with me, he stays inside the shirt. So he likes the heated blanket because I put a heated blanket on the surgery spot, to keep the blood flowing so it heals quicker.
And I'm just gonna say that because I know we gotta go. You're gonna go. I'm just gonna be very quick about this. I just want to say first off, thank you again for not only amazing interview for part 2. I'm gonna send you a copy of this, I promise. But I want to say thank you for those memories you gave myself and Chris watching wrestling. You have this incredible. I'm gonna sound like a broken needle. You have an incredible gift where you could take a 30-year-old fan, bring him way down here, and make him feel like that 12-year-old again, watching Rico Costantino kick so much ass on SmackDown. And one last thing before we conclude, and you deserve it, sir, and that is thank you, Rico. Thank you.
Thank you, Rico.
I appreciate you. Tell all your fans I say hello. I love them. And if they have any questions, write them in. PJ, you got my number. I'll answer anybody's questions.
Awesome. I can't wait to meet you this year, sir.
Yep, we're going to meet this year.
Yep. You have
and I will be healthy.
Awesome. You have an awesome night, sir, and keep in touch. We'll touch base later.
All right. Have a great night, gentlemen.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.